sky is one, the stars are many, the sun is one, its rays are many. We are many, we are one. We are many, we are one. The rose is one, its petals are many. The tree is one, its branches are many. We are many, we are one, we are one. We are many, we are one. The dance is one, the steps are many, the song is one, the notes are many. Love is one, its forms are many. Love is one, its forms are many. Flames are many, water is one, drops are many, air is one, our breaths are many. Air is one, our breaths are many. The earth is one, creatures are many. Life is one, the living are many. We are many, we are one, we are one. We are many, we are one, we are one. We are many, we are one, we are one. We are many, we are one.
Thank you, Laz, for that beautiful piece. And thank you all for joining us today in this beloved community, the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor, Michigan. I'm the Reverend Cassandra Hartley, and I have the honor of serving this congregation as executive minister. It's such a joy to be with you all in this format and to see so many faces, both new and familiar. And it's a joy to be with you today on this, our last service with our Director of Worship and Music, Dr. Glen Thomas Rideout. This is our last service together, but it's not our final goodbye. In fact, you're all invited to join us for a farewell gathering at our building outside on Saturday, July 31st from 3 to 5 p.m. It's a chance to honor and say goodbye to Dr. Rideout, as well as our other two departing staff members, Mark Van Kempen and Sanna Krummel. So today is not a final goodbye, but rather a celebration of all that we have built together with Dr. Rideout over the last 14 years. When I first met Glen Thomas around 8 years ago, I already knew him from afar as a renowned music director and speaker. But when I had the chance to film him as he did a worship service for the Church of the Larger Fellowship, which was where I was doing my internship. And when I had a chance to film him, I got to know him even more deeply. Despite his big reputation, he instantly put me at ease with his warmth and kindness. His words that day also captured my imagination. He was talking about singing in our congregation for the first Sunday that he was our music director. And as a young gay man, he was struggling and feeling like he was on the verge of giving up on organized religion altogether. But then he heard our community singing the hymn, "We are a gentle, angry people." And particularly the line, "We are gay and straight together." He describes his amazement and renewed hope. And then he said something I'll never forget. He said, Because your voice and my voice form the uncompromising strength that is our voice. Because with our singing we save lives, we must sing forever. This idea that we each have a voice that must be heard and that our collective voices can make a difference in the world deeply impacted my ministry. Even though I'm not a singer at all, over the years I discovered my voice with the help and collaboration of Glen Thomas. I have felt the power of his words when he says on Sunday mornings, "We are a singing congregation." We had a collective voice that made a difference in his life, and in return, he made a difference in ours. So much is possible when we bring our voices together, which is why we begin our Sunday mornings together by singing and by repeating the words of our chalice lighting. These words are a reminder of our connections to each other, to Unitarian Universalists all over the world, and to our living tradition. So I invite you to join me now as I light the chalice. Together, let us say, we light this chalice for the light of truth. We light this chalice for the warmth of love. We light this chalice for the energy of action. We light this chalice for the harmony of peace. Another way that we begin our time together each week is by saying the words of our covenant. As Unitarian Universalists, we are not bound together by a single creed, but rather by our covenant, which is a set of promises we make to each other about how we will be together in community. So whether you have these words memorized or whether you're saying them for the first time, I invite you to join me as we say, "The spirit of this church is love, and service is its law. This is our covenant with each other, to dwell together in peace, to search for truth in love, and to help one another." We move now more deeply into our time of celebration, beginning with a video from The Big Sing, which is an annual singing festival that Dr. Rideout created for the wider community. This particular song, Praise for the Source of Faith and Learning, was composed by Dr. William Albright, who served as our congregation's music director during the 70s and 80s. Dr. Albright was an internationally renowned composer, pianist, and organist, and a faculty member at the University of Michigan. This particular song was commissioned for our congregation in honor of our 125th anniversary. Music has been an important part of our congregation since our founding in 1865. So it's fitting that a brilliant musician like Dr. Albright helped us to mark our 125th anniversary, and then the brilliant musician Dr. Rideout helped us to celebrate our 150th anniversary. Now we prepare to enter into our next exciting chapter in our music program, knowing that whatever comes, it will continue this legacy of excellence. Join me now for Praise for the Source of Faith and Learning.
Praise What Do You Do with an Idea? By Kobi Yamada, with illustrations by May Basom. One day, I had an idea. Where did it come from? Why is it here? I wondered, what do you do with an idea? At first, I didn't think much of it. It seemed kind of strange and fragile. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just walked away from it. I acted like it didn't belong to me. But it followed me. I worried what others would think. What would people say about my idea? I kept it to myself. I hid it away and didn't talk about it. I tried to act like everything was the same as it was before my idea showed up. But there was something magical about my idea. I had to admit I felt better and happier when it was around. It wanted food. It wanted to play. Actually, it wanted a lot of attention. It grew bigger, and we became friends. I showed it to other people, even though I was afraid of what they would say. I was afraid that if people saw it, they would laugh at it. I was afraid they would think it was silly. And many of them did. They said it was no good. They said it was too weird. They said it was a waste of time and that it would never become anything. And at first, I believed them. I actually thought about giving up on my idea. I almost listened to them. But then I realized, what do they really know? This is my idea, I thought. No one knows it like I do. And it's okay if it's different and weird and maybe a little crazy. I decided to protect it, to care for it. I fed it good food. I worked with it. I played with it. But most of all, I gave it my attention. My idea grew and grew, and so did my love for it. I built it a new house, one with an open roof where it could look up at the stars, a place where it could be safe to dream. I liked being with my idea. It made me feel more alive, like I could do anything. It encouraged me to think big, and then to think bigger. It shared its secrets with me. It showed me how to walk on my hands, because, it said, it is good to have the ability to see things differently. I couldn't imagine my life without it. Then, one day, something amazing happened. My idea changed right before my very eyes. It spread its wings, took flight, and burst into the sky. I don't know how to describe it, but it went from being here to being everywhere. It wasn't just a part of me anymore. It was now a part of everything. And then I realized what you do with an idea. You change the world. The end. What did you notice? What did you wonder about as you saw and heard that anthem, the Alleluia? Perhaps you noticed how many small squares filled up the screen. And this wasn't even all of the musicians who are part of the three main ensembles of this congregation, the Chalice Singers, the Chalice Bells, and the Chalice Sparks. There were over 50 musicians represented here. That's the size of some small congregations. What did you notice? Perhaps you saw the piece as a microcosm of the congregation. There was a range of ages represented in those little squares, from young ones still in elementary school to elders in their 80s, a multi-generational musical collaboration. And it illustrated the idea of collaboration across ensembles, an idea that we have seen take shape over the past decade, an idea that continues to grow in new and innovative ways. What did you wonder about? Perhaps you were curious about how the piece began with a single voice. And if it was the first time you heard the piece, you may have been surprised by the layering of voices and instruments, how the sound grew and blended. And it wasn't about individuals anymore, but about something greater. As Laz sang earlier, we are many, we are one. And at the end, the many visually gathered into the shape of a chalice. What a beautiful representation of the music ministries we are celebrating today. I know from the archives that there have been singing and musicians and no doubt a choir of some sort since the founding of this congregation over 155 years ago. And for much of the past 35 years, young voices have sung together, taking on a new name, the Sparks, when Dr. Rideout arrived. The congregation has enjoyed the presence of the Handbell Choir for over 25 years now. The ensembles are the core of a thriving music ministry. But there's more. Throughout this congregation's history, there have been talented guest musicians, composers, artists, organists, and pianists. In the past 14 years, a unique collaboration between Glen Thomas and our Pianist-in-Residence, Allison Halerz, has brought to life many new ways of making music together in rehearsals and worship. And finally, we have become a congregation that sings unlike any other UU congregation I have heard. This congregation has a voice. We celebrate our voice now through some reflections by members of the Music Ambassadors team, Jim McCargar, Deana Shields, Kristin LeSueur, and Debita Graham. We'll start with Jim.
We at UUAA are so complex. Tangled vines of judgment and joy, patience and petulance, opinion and openness, conflict and compassion. Yet simple ideas from those with whom we develop relationships drive us to bend or even radically alter course, to overcome inertia, to act. This happened to me near the end of our 150th anniversary celebration. At the March 15th, 2015 service, Dr. Glen Thomas Rideout paraphrased Howard Thurmond, quote, "Don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you sing." That's the metaphor. I want to encourage you to not only hear singing, but to hear what makes me come alive. And every time I say sing, you must do what makes a difference in the world through the resonance of your own body and your life. At that moment, I fully committed to become a chalice singer. I hadn't sung in an organized group for 47 years. My only intersections with Pavarotti remain my gender identity, and I'm crappy at sight reading. I learn music largely by ear and repetition. It's hard work. Cautious at my overexuberance, perhaps, Dr. Rideout still merged me into choir practices mid-season. I never missed a session. I shadowed loving, mentoring bass mates like Dick Bauman and Rob Northrup and so many other singers. I practiced constantly. I first sang in the loft at the 150th closing services in May. Oleyelu's Northern Lights, a glorious personal favorite. I simply had never imagined I'd ever have such an opportunity. Enveloped by crescendos, the hair stood straight out from my arms. Dr. Rideout embeds meaning in my work, in our congregation's work. He musters humor, pathos, passion, stories of Stella by Riverlight, cultural context, honorifics conferred upon elders through the wisdom and respect of community, the rich reverence of the past, and glorious moments of silence. Thank you, Glen Thomas, for a repertoire of song expanding and resonating into life experiences. I've sung Mozart's Requiem at the Big Sing and the Requiem for Orlando. Simultaneously, Dr. Rideout opened a door to Black African slave music, contemporaneous with Mozart and equally vital. I've merged music with Dr. Maya Angelou's On the Pulse of Morning, Reverend Mark Morrison Reed's UUAA Challenge. With whom are you in relationship? With the initial risk and steady progress from constantly wearing a BLM button. Our UUAA community is far greater than the simple sum of the choir, bells, sparks, our full, marvelous ensemble congregation of music makers. We've acquired magnificent things because Dr. Rideout embodies simple ideas. All of us access music, regardless of ability. We all move individually and collectively with the ideas and emotions music brings to life. When we infuse music into UUAA services, all can change structures and systems around us, from the seemingly inconspicuous to the gargantuan. I value these moments beyond anything embedded in the word gratitude. Dr. Rideout is leaving. I knew this day would come and sadden me deeply. And I will still wake up and sing and live and dance in the loft, learn from and perhaps teach others to be just and transformative, just like Glen Thomas Rideout, Dr. Glen Thomas Rideout taught us, and will now teach so many others as well.
Deana Shields has prepared a reflection, which I will read on her behalf. Since the beginning of his tenure at UUAA, Dr. Rideout has preached one message consistently. Everyone has a voice, everyone can sing, and everyone should sing, because everyone deserves to have the transformative spiritual experience that comes with joining voices together in harmony. The Big Sing, an annual choir festival begun by Dr. Rideout in 2015, to which literally everyone is invited, lures both enthusiastic and tentative voices, such as UUAA choir members from nearby congregations, as well as congregants who've never sung in a choir. Participants have traveled from across the country and even from Canada. Early moments during the Big Sing involve lots of reassurance. We heard concerns like, I wanted the music ahead of time because I'm not a good sight reader and I'm worried that I can't learn it fast enough. Or, I'm a chalice singer, but I don't feel confident enough to help lead people who don't know the music. Or, I've never sung in a choir before. Is that okay? Yes, it's okay. Everything will be just fine because we have a one-of-a-kind, once-in-a-lifetime leader with the vision, skill, and dedication to pull this off. Sunday afternoon will end with exhausted but fulfilled singers and a happy audience, who of course got to sing as well. Deana continues, on a personal level, I know that my musical journey with Glen Thomas has been one of healing, learning, and growth. He doesn't even know the history of the scars he has helped fade. For example, with his support and encouragement, I have been able to sing solos for the first time in my life. But he would need to stay another 15 years before I could do this speech live on Zoom. But singing solos doesn't come close to matching the intense oral experience of singing with 150 voices at the Big Sing, filling the sanctuary with music. The Big Sing encapsulates the transformative power of Dr. Rideout's ministry, radical welcome, the importance of the individual, of every individual to the collective whole, music as spiritual practice, finding your voice and then joining it with others.
So in retrospect, music has always been my spiritual practice, though I never before defined it as such. I sang to myself the songs I had learned in church and school choirs, and always thought the most achingly beautiful melodies were those composed about the sacred. Now I've sung of the northern lights, of the wind, of wet snow falling early, and of the road home, and marveled at their beauty. Now my definition of the sacred has been expanded. I thought that singing alone was enough, but that's only because I had never before joined my voice with others with the intent to make a spiritual practice of it, even in church. Coming into rehearsals with Glen Thomas, I felt a paradigm shift. The goal of any rehearsal is always to make music, but never before had I been part of a choir who also approached it with the intention to create beloved community. Acceptance and inclusivity were paramount, and every single voice was given equal value for its inherently beautiful uniqueness. All my feelings of imperfection and inadequacy, all the perceived judgments from my peers in previous choirs were washed away. How can I describe the feeling of laying down the burdens of judgment of myself and others? The knowledge that this was a safe place to explore and create and sing wrong notes was liberating. That beauty could be present in wrong notes and imperfect rhythms too. I realized that each voice which sang, mine included, was creating that safe place, and that the beauty derived from these rehearsals had a higher purpose. In every worship service, that gift of inclusive music was reflected and magnified and offered up to the congregation as a true music ministry. I've stood in the choir loft and seen the tears in your eyes and felt a kinship, a connection, a gift of trust of incalculable value. I've sat in the sanctuary and sang with strangers and friends alike, and our combined voices created a tangible metaphor for the combined work of our hands, of our faith. From Glen Thomas, I was given permission to harmonize, to sing outside the lines, to create and explore and make mistakes within a worship service. I can't describe how revolutionary and freeing that was. It was permission I never knew I wanted, let alone needed. Suddenly free to explore harmonies and counterpoint to the melodies I'd clung to, my musical liberation was complete. How do you thank someone for guiding you on the path to the evolution of your soul? Hopefully, by living into and continuing their work to the best of my ability. Thank you.
My story revolves around my son, Robert, not only because I'm so proud of him, but also because I think his story represents how welcoming our music ministries is. When Robert and I were able to start coming to UUAA on a regular basis, I was a bit worried. I had previously been asked in other settings to tell Robert not to sing or read out loud because I admit, due to his disabilities, Robert does not always have the correct rhythm of a song or the pitch that we are all striving for, and he can lag behind in responsive readings. He also has a hard time modulating his voice, so can be a bit too loud. But I tried to put my worries aside and we came. Each Sunday, Robert was Robert. He enthusiastically sang the hymns. He carefully read the chalice lighting words and the words of affirmation. He was sometimes too loud, sometimes his rhythm was off, and his responsive reading was slow. And his singing was not pitch perfect, to say the least, but he loved it all. Then one Sunday, as we were leaving the sanctuary, a congregant came up to Robert and I, and after introductions, they said, "I heard Robert singing today." I immediately thought they were going to say he was too loud, too disruptive, too distracting. Instead, they said how wonderful it was to see how enthusiastic he was, and that seeing that filled them with joy. They continued on to say that they look forward to seeing him in the services every Sunday. I literally started weeping hearing those words. That is when I knew that this congregation was our home. Robert could be Robert, and he could express his love of music in the best way he could, and he was welcomed. As it turns out, that particular Sunday welcome was just the beginning for Robert. Since then, Robert has become part of the choir family, sitting in on our rehearsals, helping sort music scores, and organizing choir folders. The members of the choir have become his friends, support system, and cheerleaders. He's also part of the handbell choir, after Reverend Theresa invited him to join the ensemble and play hand chimes. During rehearsals, he helps get out the bells and put them away when we are done. When we play for the congregation, he carefully watches Reverend Theresa for his cues to play, and after each note, his smile becomes bigger and bigger. The joy and pride that Robert feels when he's able to join in all aspects of our services and in being part of the choir family and the bell choir is obvious. But there's more to this than just how this makes Robert happy. How Robert was welcomed and is accepted with an open heart and an open mind is an example of how the music ministries program at UUAA is there for all of us, no matter what our talents are, what our involvement is, or how we like to experience music. We are all welcome to participate through singing, humming, clapping a rhythm when we sing hymns, or being part of an ensemble, or simply closing our eyes and taking in the beauty when Allison plays. Wherever you are at in your music journey, your voice and your joy is welcome. If you want proof, just ask Robert.
Thank you each and all for those reflections. I wonder if we just take a couple moments and breathe together and let those beautiful thoughts and images settle in with us. Let's breathe together for a few moments. Glen Thomas, it is on behalf of the Chalice Singers, the Chalice Bells and Chalice Sparks, and on behalf of every one of the voices of the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor, that I now extend to you our deepest gratitude for 14 years of leadership, guidance, collaboration, and musical excellence. We are grateful you took the risk to apply for a job without the slightest clue of what Unitarian Universalism was all about. We are grateful you embraced the complexities of this faith tradition, adding it to the spiritual homes you already occupied. You came here with ideas, but more importantly, you saw and encouraged ideas in others. The ideas grew. Together, we learned what to do with them, and those ideas have transformed individuals, have transformed the ensembles, transformed the congregation, and indeed, you have transformed the denomination. Thank you. Our love goes with you. And if you would please join your voices together in singing along with Allison and Glen Thomas for the next hymn, We Are the Ones. Sing. Sing any part, sing all of the parts, clap, dance, move, or close your eyes and let the sound of these voices wash over you. Sing, because your voice is beautiful.
Waiting. Waiting, waiting, we've been waiting, 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 we've been waiting, waiting, we've been waiting, we've been waiting, we've been waiting. We are the ones we've been
We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones to make a difference in this world. One way we make a difference is by offering our gifts, and they are many: time, teaching, volunteering, serving, leading, singing. But we also need your financial gifts as we head into a new and exciting church year. The music ministries are just one of the many programs your gift will support. If you are in a place where a financial gift is possible, I ask you to give as generously as you can. UUAA.org/giving. As the individual voices we've seen and heard today combine into something greater and more beautiful, so it is with your gifts. Every offering of any amount helps build the whole. Use your voice, your time, your presence. Use your money to make a difference. UUAA.org/giving. And you are warmly invited to join a Zoom social hour right after the final slideshow, where you can have some social conversation or choose to be in a smaller breakout room for some focused discussion. If you're new to us, we'd love to learn who you are. Let the host know if you'd like to talk to someone about this congregation, and we'll connect you to a welcoming human being. UUAA.org/social hour. And as our time of worship now draws to a close, we offer you this benediction. One day, I had an idea.
Go, my friends, with love on your mind.
It grew bigger, and we became friends.
Go with justice in your heart.
Then I realized what you do with an idea.
Go with freedom in the soles of your feet.
You change the world.
Go now and make a difference in the world through your being, through the evidence of your living, and through the justice, love, and freedom in your wake. Amen.
The end.
Singing for our Lord. sing.